Tip number 1. You can starve out the garrison of a castle, making it much easier to actually take, especially if you're just post a battle where you've taken a lot of the enemy lords into prison or dropped them off at a dungeon or whatever, and they are currently unable to mount a significant force to fight back. This is a great way of taking castles while losing very little men. Now, this is not exactly the greatest of examples. I just grabbed the nearest castle. So as we set up our siege camp, we'll put some trebuchets up just to make sure that their siege equipment's being dealt with. We'll do the normal strategy of removing and putting in reserve, and then put all 4 out at the same time. And then we can pretty much sit indefinitely and just wait for them to run out of food. So they've got 14 days, we've got 31 days. And what I'll do is I will fast forward this part of the video and I will resume commentary once we get to the point where they're starting to starve out. And now we can see they've got 0 days food left, and what you probably missed there is they just lost a tick of units as well. So that was at 140, it's gone down to 145, sorry, it's gone down to 140. So now when we resume playing on the game, you'll see that every day their numbers will tick down. 4 trebuchets is enough to take down whatever siege equipment that they manage to bring to bear. You'll have to replace the occasional one, but for the most part, you're sorted. Things to be aware of in this situation: there's a couple of times where my cohesion dropped down and I had to refill it. Now, my particular army, 3 of the 6 parties that are in my army are parts of my clan, so they don't cost me any cohesion to keep going. If you've got a huge army that's got 15 different parties of people and none of them are part of your clans, the cohesion cost might not be worth it. I'm doing this with a very large army. It doesn't have to be a very large army. The point is you just need to be able to stay in situ for a long time. A larger army is more beneficial because obviously it will deter people from countering the siege. On countering sieges, if somebody does come along with an army and they attack the siege camp, garrison that is still left, they will sally out with whoever's leading the attack and will attack you at the same time. Another point is be careful of the size of the garrison, because if there's 1,000 troops in here and you think you're going to attack it with 300 troops and then whittle them down through starvation, that won't work. The reason that won't work is because the garrison and the militia will sally out to you, and then you'll be in a real disastrous situation. The garrison is completely starved out. Garrison is more what we want to take down. We've now reduced this from 200 and something troops down to 139. Well, there's 88 wounded, you can see it there. So those 88 wounded, we've reduced it by 88 just by starving out the garrison. I just wanted to show you that it is possible. If you do run into a town and they've got a really huge garrison, and you can't attack it, as long as your numbers are equivalent to theirs, it will stop them from sallying out. And as long as you've cleared up all the lords in the local area so you're not going to get counter-sieged, you should be able to just sit there, as I've just done here. There's nobody around me right now. They're attacking other settlements, they're raiding settlements. I think there was a castle that was under siege as well. But I've managed to starve out this garrison to the point where we would just be able to walk across this now and take it very easily. So that's tip number 1. You can and should, when garrisons are very high level troops and of high numbers, starve them out before you attack. Tip number 2. Prison breaks are a thing. However, they are very difficult. Let me explain. So, if you have a lord that you want to talk to for whatever reason, maybe you want to marry their daughter or you want to join their army, and they're currently imprisoned, you can break them out. There's also other reasons you might do a prison break. One, to improve the relations with that particular individual, because you do get quite a boost in relationship with the individual that you break out for obvious reasons. 2, you may need them for something. Or 3, you're trying to level up your roguery experience. However, I wouldn't recommend doing it this way because prison breaks are very difficult. So to do a prison break, first of all, find the town or the castle that your prisoner is currently within. Go to the keep, go to the dungeon, and then you go stage a prison break. Now you pick your person that you want to break out. Neither of these mean anything to me. And then you start. Now when you load in, you'll be wearing your civilian equipment as if you were walking around the town. This person's got a wooden mallet and that's it, so he's going to be very limited in his capabilities. As you move your way through the prison, you'll run into a few guards. Now, the level of the guards, i.e. what type of troops they are, will be very much dictated by the garrison of that particular town. I'm getting stuck on the door. There we go. So, this is a battalion town that we're in, and that was a Valandian guard. The reason being, it picks from the garrison what troops will be defending the prison. In this case, it's Valandian troops. That was a Sturgian troop. Unfortunately, this guy will stick with his mallet and won't pick up a sword because they're idiots. And we should run into a group of 2 guards in a minute. Oh dear. My sword's too long. My sword was too long, I couldn't swing it. But that's fine. So basically, because we lost, what happens is you get captured and we escape our place of captivity. If we try and go back, this should stop us from going in. Oh no, we can go again. Right. What we'll do now is we'll try it a different way. So I need to heal up first. So I'll let the time tick on just while I wait for my health to fill up. Okay, now my health's full up, we'll try again. This time though, what we're going to do is we're going to head into the town and try and buy some gear for us to wear that's better than what we've got. This sword is too long, so length 116 is too long. We need something probably with a length around 100. That would be good. Because we can't carry a shield anyway. It's 108, so it's not overly long. Ooh, yeah, we'll take it. So just for reference, anything that's blue is not a civilian weapon and you can't take it. And then we're going to go for some better gear. So apparently we can wear a bronze chest plate in the town. I have no idea why that would be a thing, but fine. Fame braces, that's good. I'm probably still going to lose. Like, these things are difficult. Cowhide hat and some better boots. There we go. So we're a bit more equipped to do this now. Obviously, if you're going to do this quite regularly, you would shop around the different towns and find the best armor for the armor slots that you've got. Oh, we've got some stuff over here, actually. Ooh, leather cap. Didn't realize I was stockpiling so much stuff. Some better boots there. A better hat there. Cool. I think that's as good as we're getting. So let's try it again. Ha! They won't let me. Right. Let's find another prisoner to break out. I will fast forward this, but I'll go around the other towns and see if I can find another prisoner to break out. The only two factions that were currently at war were both at war with me. So the rebels from Dungalis were the only ones that were available to prison break. So what I've done is I've reloaded an earlier save. I've still done the re-equip, so if you look at my civilian gear, I've still got the bronze breastplate and the two-handed sword and such. Okay, let's see how we can get out. We'll go for Chell just because it's at the top. So the amount that you pay per prison break depends entirely on how valuable that individual is. If they're very valuable to their faction, you'll pay a lot. If they're not very valuable to the faction, you won't. The problem with doing these prison breaks is the camera angles are terrible. Right. We can't even fight this dude here because the sword's just pinging off the walls. I can't even stab him. There we go. Jesus wept. Seriously, I don't know why anybody does these prison breaks. They are just horrendous to fight through. Your sword constantly gets caught on the roof. Even when it doesn't get caught on the roof, it's getting caught on the wall, and then you're restricted to where you can even stand, because standing in a certain place will actually inhibit your ability to swing your sword or do anything. It's just horrible. I think the whole thing was just poorly thought out. Again, we can fight. So, that is how you do a prison break. That's it, we've killed all the guards. As you can see, it is an absolute nightmare to fight in these confined spaces. If you're really going to do it as a way to level up your roguery or as a way to up your charm with certain individuals, I would say go to the blacksmith and make some really short but strong swords and some really powerful throwing knives, so you've at least got a half decent chance of making it out alive. When you're up against multiple opponents, it's terrible. So if you can make something that you can at least throw and take down one of them before the next one gets in, or weaken them enough so you can kill one off the bat, that's the best strategy you can use. But we'll get out of here. So we've done it. We're out. Just a little thank you. So we got 27 rep. So considering that the cap is 100, we're a quarter of the way to getting full rep with that individual, and we got a skill point in roguery. For the effort of going through, buying the equipment, finding the prisoners, actually fighting through the escape, it's really not worth it, but that is how you do prison breaks, and that's what they're used for. Tip number 3. Don't execute lords. It ends badly. I've got some lords in my party at the moment. If I go down, just pick Allery and execute him. It does give you a big old warning here, and if you hover over it, it will tell you how many people your relationship will change with. And as you can see, it's a lot, because it's all of these, and at the bottom it says and 22 more. So it's all of these different people. So all of the Valandians, some of the, by the looks of it, the Imperials, it's just not good. What will also happen is after you've executed him, ta-da! You'll have to sit for 10 minutes while it goes through all the different people that are now not happy with you. And as you continue executing lords, what will happen is those people will start gunning for you. So in one playthrough, I carried on executing lords, and then I lost one battle, and the first thing that the lord that won the battle did was executed me, my character, which is the worst case scenario of what can happen. So if you go around chopping everybody's heads off, just be aware that the first battle that you lose, the most likely outcome is that your head's going to be chopped off, because anybody with a -100 opinion of you will most likely lop your head off. So as much as it's fun, and it might seem like removing them from the situation removes the amount of lords that are available to that faction, which removes their army size, it's just not worth it in the long term, especially if you've got your own kingdom, because they will declare war on you constantly as well, because they hate you basically. So yeah, don't decapitate lords. It's funny, but it's not effective. Tip number 4, set your settlements to recruit militia. I'll explain why. If you go to manage town, normally I set mine on festivals and games, specifically if I'm playing as a vassal, because the -3 modifier to loyalty can be a bit brutal. So festival and games gives you +3 increase to loyalty, and if you've got the fairgrounds up as well, it can offset having a governor that is of a different culture. But the reason I do this is because my militia's already quite high, and the garrison's quite high as well. Militia doesn't really cost you anything, but garrison does. And this combined number dictates whether or not your settlement is ripe for sieging. So when the enemy AI is looking for somewhere to siege, it will look at what garrison and militia that particular town has, and if there's nearby towns that have got less militia and less garrison, it'll attack those instead. So one of the good things to do is to switch over to train militia and cap out your militia as fast as you can, really, on towns that you're not going to be around for a while. That will just deter people from sieging your castles and sieging your towns and give you a little bit of breathing space. But do keep your eye on your loyalty, make sure it doesn't drop too low, and make sure that you don't go into rebellion stages. If they're of the same faction, that's not an issue, but if they are not of the same faction, then it's something you might want to worry about. Also, there is a perk called Parade, which will give you a +5 loyalty bonus to the settlement while you're waiting in the settlement that sits in the charm tree. So if you have gone through the charm tree and you've got that, it's good to sit in there and wait for your militia to build up, especially in towns you've just captured. Once your militia and your garrison combination is high enough, the number of defenders will be too high for people to bother sieging your town in the first place. And if they do siege your town, it will take them so long it'll give you time to get back to defend it. Tip number 5, reinforcement wave count. Now, this is a setting in the game settings. Go into options, gameplay, and you'll see there, reinforcement wave count. Now, this says how many waves of reinforcements that you or the enemy is going to get. By default, it's set to unlimited. You can put 3, 4, or 5 waves. So when you've got really large armies, it dictates how many troops come in each wave. Now, there is another setting. The other setting is how many troops come per wave. That setting sets here in the performance tab, right down at the bottom. And the battle size, I've currently got set to very high at 600. So if we put the limit on 3 waves, that means you're only ever going to get 1800 troops in the entirety of the battle. Now, you can use this to your advantage and cheese it a little bit. So in the gameplay settings, we can set the wave count to 3. We can also set unit spawn prioritization. Now, by default, that will give you a mix of units and a mix of different troop types. I leave it on high level, which means it will put the highest tier troops that I've got on the field at the start of a battle. Now, we restrict it to 3 waves, and then we go back to our performance tab, and we set the battle size down to very low at 200. Now, if there's a 1,000 versus 1,000 army, that means that you're going to get your elite troops in your first 200, and then you'll have 2 more waves of 200 troops. Your opponent will also get 600 troops in total, 3 waves of 200 troops. The difference is, by default, the AI is set to a default unit prioritization. So they will put a mixture of low and high tier units. They'll try and fill as many different roles as possible, whereas you're concentrating specifically on your high tier units. This can give you an advantage, especially in things like castle sieges. If they've got 2,000 defenders, it doesn't matter. They're only going to get 1,800 on the field. 600 on the field, sorry, because you've set your battle size down to very low. Now, you can cheese it and use that as a way to sort of restrict the battles and give yourself the upper hand, but that's up to you whether or not you use it. I'm just showing you that the option is there to restrict the size of the battle and also restrict how many waves you'll get per battle. Tip number 6 is around movement speed. Your movement speed is dictated by many things. The terrain that you're on, any skills that you have, your scouting level, etc, etc. But one of the main things that impacts it is horses. So if you look on my movement speed down here, you'll see that I get a boost. On the 4th one down, it says footman on horses. So I get a boost in speed for every footman that has a horse that he's able to use during movement. So you can tell how many footmen you've got by, in your party screen, looking at the number of troops you have in these 2 columns. So if I've got 236 horses, I'll get the full bonus to movement speed. Now this is because for every footman that you have, you need a horse for him to ride. Cavalry don't count because obviously they already have their own horses. When it comes to horses, there is a difference in horses, and I'll explain why. If we go down to the bottom here, you'll see we have mules and sumpter horses. In their pictures, you'll see they have a little picture of a bag, and if you hover over it, it, the tooltip will say used for carrying goods. So these will increase your inventory capacity. You'll see there, you've got spare mounts and pack animals. Pack animals will always increase your inventory space way more than spare mounts. Spare mounts just give you a little bit anyway. If we move up, you'll see steppe horses and Midlands palfreys. These are just normal horses. These are used to upgrade low-level cavalry, and they're also used to increase your party's movement speed. Now, as much as the speed on these horses differs, so such as the Milford Palfrey has 47, the Steppe horse has 45, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce that one, has 54. It doesn't actually matter which one you use for your footman, you'll get the same bonus. So pick up whatever's cheaper. The reason I have a large amount of horses here is because at the start of the game, there is a town down here called Askar, and it has 2 horse villages nearby, and normally you can pick up horses the cheapest in these 3 areas. And that's why I have a lot of those horses. So if we go back into our inventory and back to our horses, the next step of horse is war mounts. So that's where you've got your steppe hunters, your Darshi horses, and your Centaurian chargers. These are used exclusively to upgrade your cavalry. They will be used obviously to increase movement speed as well, but once you start upgrading your cavalry past tier 4 into the elite brackets, you will need a war mount for each one of your cavalry. I wouldn't count on these for your foot troops because they will be used up as you upgrade your troops. And then the final stage of horse is noble mounts. Now these are very good to be able to put onto your nobles to give them boosts in speed or extra charge damage, such as that one has 32 charge damage. So if you were a cavalry player that uses a lance a lot and you're charging a lot, that might be something you're looking at. Also has a lot more hit points. Personally, I've gone for the one that's fastest. Now these mounts will never be used to upgrade your troops. They do count towards your movement speed, but for the value that they carry, these are just extra money. So what I tend to do is sell these when I can. At the moment, I'm flush with money and I don't really need to, but I would sell these when you can. Because they're not really much use to you. All they're there for is to increase movement speed, and you might as well have a 243 dinar value horse instead of a 3,000, 4,000 dinar value horse. So that's how horses work. You've got 3 stages. You've got your normal horses, your pack mules and your horses that increase your carrying capacity. You've got your normal horses, you've got your war mounts, which is used for upgrading your elite cavalry, and you've got your noble mounts, which once everybody has one, they're just a nice little piggy bank of money really to cash in whenever you can. And that's how horses work in the game and increase your movement speed. Tip number 7. Use the terrain to your advantage. You can see in this short video that I'm scouting the map looking for the best place to attack my enemy from. On this particular map, there's a nice little alcove on the beach that forces the enemy down a narrow gully. This is a perfect place to set up an ambush. This clip was taken from a video where I show you exactly how to use this gap to its maximum effectiveness and destroy the Valandians, leaving their corpses on the beach to rot. If you'd like to see that, click on the card above. Now in this next clip you can see the Valandians getting absolutely demolished because of the advantages that are offered to us by the terrain. My archers are able to open fire on them from the sides, on their flanks and on their backs, causing maximum damage as you can see from the sea of green on the kill feed. Now this is a very, very good tactic. Get your archers behind the enemy and it doesn't matter how strong their troops are, they will fall. The infantry is there at the moment purely just to hold ground and give them something to charge at. Now, the horses don't seem to be behaving very well here. They do seem to be peeling off and going for the archers, but it doesn't really matter. Because their attention is split, they're going to suffer heavy, heavy losses. Tip number 8. Hold on to the Dragon Banner for as long as you can. So if you're playing the main story, the main campaign, you will get the Dragon Banner eventually once you start progressing through that quest line. The reason I say hold on for it as long as you can is once you actually submit to a faction or create your own faction, something interesting is going to happen. Now, first of all, you get these little quests. So it says weaken the Empire, you get a conspiracy plan that's going against you. You'll have to chase down caravans and chase down raider parties that will spawn in your kingdom as this story progresses. Currently, I'm on the conspiracy base of operations has been discovered. So that's basically just a little hideout over here, look. And then you do that. The guys in the hideout are a little bit tougher than normal, but then you get some paperwork, give it back, and it's all a thing. It's a whole quest line that you've got to do. It's a massive inconvenience when you're constantly at war. But the other thing that is interesting is going to happen is we currently occupy the majority of the map. We've taken out the Khazaits, we've taken out the Southern Empire and the Northern Empire, and it was going quite well. We were at war with 1 to 2 factions per day at a time. What's happened now is since I've handed over the Dragon Banner, we're at war with everyone. Because we're getting close to owning a third of the map, every other faction's constantly declaring war on us. So we're constantly defending our fiefs. We're constantly having to fight back. It is exhausting. And this is what will happen if you hand over the banner too early. What I should have done in this situation is maybe tried to weaken the Empire a little bit more. And once they had a few fiefs left, then handed in the banner. Because the only thing that really happens is you get the conspiracy quests. You don't really get any benefits from handing in the banner. So it's not really worth doing. So that is tip number 8. Hold on to the banner until the very last moment and then hand it in just so you can complete the quest. Tip number 9. In tournaments, you get to use your own armor, but you have to use their weapons. And I'll show you an example of this. So if you look at my character right now, I've got luxury scale armor, legendary bronze scale shoulder guards, and a closed decorated goggled helmet. If we go into this arena and we join the tournament... Sorry, one more thing. My weapons wise, I have a Highland fine two-handed sword and a noble bow. But when I go into the tournament itself, you will see I have my armor, but that is definitely not my sword. That is definitely not my shield. So you have to use the weapons that you're provided. So if you're going to be a tournament fighter, and that's how you're going to make your money and how you're going to get your renown, that's a great thing to do. Prioritize better armor over better weapons. Because your men can fight for you, but they can't fight for you in the arena. And this goes the same for your companions and family members. This is actually one of my companions. Equipping them with better armor will allow them to survive longer in tournaments and increase your odds of getting the prize. Because even if you don't make it to the final round of the tournament, and one of your family members does, you will still get the prize. Now, the tournaments themselves, I would advise going to Imperial towns because they're the easiest ones to do. The Khazate ones are okay. They've got a couple where there's a glaive fight, which could go either way. And then the Azerai ones are pretty good as well, such as these ones. The group fights can get messy. That's my family member, so I'm going to take this person out. Well, that's actually both my family members. Doesn't really matter which one of these makes it through to the next round because they both belong to my clan anyway. So you can see there, Arwa's my wife, Killam's my brother, I am the swordsman is Killam's me. I am the swordsman is my companion. So we have 3 of 4 people in the final round actually belong to my clan. Oof, that was close. So the final round, it is me versus my wife. Now in this one I will show you, I'm just going to stand still. She's very well equipped. I've made sure she's very well equipped. To be fair, Arwa as a companion, as a wife, sorry, she comes very well equipped anyway. But I'll let her finish me off just to show you what happens when you lose but one of your family members wins. So she wins. Winds of Fury, won by Arwa, was put in your inventory. So, as much as I didn't win the tournament, and I lose the money that I bet on myself, if I go into my inventory, you will find the Winds of Fury is sat there waiting for me. So, that's what happens in a tournament. Tip number 10. You will have a lot of companions and family members as the campaign progresses on. Use them to your advantage. One of the things you can do is send them to do quests on your behalf. So, for such as this quest... he needs help with trading something. You will get the option of saying that you will do the quest yourself, or you will assign it to a companion. If you choose to assign it to a companion, you'll get all the people that have the relevant skill to that particular quest. Some of them require roguery, some of them require one-handed, some of them require scouting, so it depends on the quest itself as to what specific skill is needed. You'll see here that if you pick somebody with the low skill, it will take longer to achieve. So because this person has riding 63, it will take 10 days. Because this person has riding 23, it will take 18 days. But there is a bottom end drop off. So if I take my highest riding companion, which is Alia, she's got 252 riding, it will take her 8 days, as it would at 190, as it would at 126. So there is a bottom end to it. Doing this frees you up to do other things, and especially for quests where you have to do things like chase down bandit parties. If you can't see any bandit parties around, you can fail that quest. It's not your fault, it just so happens that the bandits have stopped spawning in the area. But by assigning a companion to do that quest, it will fulfill itself. The results of this is obviously you get the rewards from the quest itself, you get the reputation increase with the individual people, and you also will get skill increases on the particular person that you sent to do the task. So this is going to be a great way of getting some skill ups on your characters early in the game. Tip number 11. Scout, tactics, and trade are required for a good caravan to be successful. Scouting increases the view range of the party, so they can see bandit parties much sooner and get out of their way and avoid them. Also, scouting increases your movement speed at certain points, so you get movement speed buffs as the perks go across, because obviously the leader of the party is assigned as the scout, so they get all of the bonuses from the movement speed perks in scouting. Tactics is needed because all of the battles fought by your caravan party will be auto-resolves, because you're not participating in them. So by increasing the tactics of the individuals involved, they will, over time, become more effective at winning battles. Also, you can look at what's actually in your party. It's majority of horsemen when it comes to a caravan, so you want to pick any perks that will benefit cavalry. And then finally, obviously trade. That's self-explanatory. The trade bonuses that your caravans will get and the amount of money they can make is very much restricted to what their trade level is. So if you are going to set up a caravan, find somebody with strong scouting, tactics and trade, or alternatively, train up a family member or a companion first, and then send them off to do that.